Hello, this is day 80 of reading one canto of the Divine Comedy every day. We are on Paradiso, Canto 13, which I'll read from the Longfellow translation before giving some quick comments. Let him imagine, who would well conceive what now I saw, and let him, while I speak, retain the image as a steadfast rock, the 15 stars, that in their diverse regions the sky enliven with a light so great that it transcends all clusters of the air. Let him the wane imagine unto which our vault of heaven sufficeth night and day, so that in turning of its pole it fails not. Let him the mouth imagine of the horn that in the point beginneth of the axis round about which the primal wheel revolves, to have fashioned of themselves 2 signs in heaven, like unto that which Minos' daughter made, the moment when she felt the frost of death. And one to have its rays within the other, and both to whirl themselves in such a manner that one should forward go, the other backward. And he will have some shadowing forth of that true constellation, and the double dance that circled round the point at which I was, because it is as much beyond our wont, as swifter than the motion of the Chiana moveth the heaven that all the rest outspeeds. There sang they neither Bacchus nor Apollo, but in the divine nature persons 3, and in one person, the divine and human. The singing and the dance fulfilled their measure, and unto us those holy lights gave need, growing in happiness from care to care. Then broke the silence of those saints concordant, the light in which the admirable life of God's own mendicant was told to me, and said, now that one straw is trodden out, now that its seed is garnered up already, sweet love invites me to thresh out the other. Into that bosom, thou believest, whence was drawn the rib to form the beauteous cheek, whose taste to all the world is costing dear, and into that which, by the lance transfixed, before and since, such satisfaction made that it weighs down the balance of all sin. Whatever of light it has to human nature been lawful to possess was all infused by that same power that both of them created. And hence, at what I said above, dost wonder, when I narrated that no second had the good which in the 5th light is enclosed. Now ope thine eyes to what I answer thee, and thou shalt see thy creed and my discourse fit in the truth as center in a circle. That which can die, and that which dieth not, are nothing but the splendor of the idea which by his love our Lord brings into being. Because that living light, which from its fount effulgent flows, so that it disunites not from him nor from the love in them enshrined, through its own goodness reunites its rays in 9 subsistences, as in a mirror, itself eternally remaining one. Thence it descends to the last potencies, downward from act to act, becoming such that only brief contingencies it makes. And these contingencies I hold to be things generated, which the heaven produces by its own motion, with seed and without. Neither their wax, nor that which tempers it remains immutable, and hence beneath the ideal signet more and less shines through. Therefore it happens that the selfsame tree after its kind bears worse and better fruit, and ye are born with characters diverse. If in perfection tempered were the wax, and were the heaven in its supremest virtue, the brilliance of the seal would all appear. But nature gives it ever more deficient, in the like manner working as the artist, who has the skill of art and hand that trembles. If then the fervent love, the vision clear of primal virtue, do dispose and seal, perfection absolute is there acquired. Thus was of old the earth created worthy of all and every animal perfection, and thus the virgin was impregnate made. Of that thine own opinion I commend, that human nature never yet has been, nor will be, what it was in those 2 persons. Now, if no farther I should proceed, then in what way was he without a peer, would be the first beginning of thy words. But that may well appear what now appears not. Think who he was, and what occasion moved him to make request, when it was told him, ask. I've not so spoken that thou canst not see clearly he was a king who asked for wisdom, that he might be sufficiently a king. 'Twas not to know the number in which are the motors here above, or if necesse with a contingent ever necesse make. Non si est dare primum motum esse. Or if in semicircle can be made triangle, so that it have no right angle. Whence, if thou notest this and what I said, a regal prudence is that peerless seeing in which the shaft of my intention strikes. And if on rose thou turnest thy clear eyes, thou wilt see that it has reference alone to kings who are many, and the good are rare. With this distinction take thou what I said, and thus it can consist with thy belief of the first Father and of our delight. And lead shall this be always to thy feet, to make thee, like a weary man, move slowly, both to the yes and no thou seest not. For every low among the fools is he, who affirms without distinction, or denies, as well in one as in the other case. Because it happens that full often bends current opinion in the false direction, and then the feelings bind the intellect. Far more than uselessly he leaves the shore, since he returneth not the same he went, who fishes for the truth and has no skill. And in the world proofs manifest thereof Parmenides, Melissus, Brissus are, and many who went on and knew not whither. Thus did Sabellius, Arius, and those fools who have been even as swords unto the Scriptures in rendering distorted their straight faces. Nor yet shall people be too confident in judging, even as he is who doth count the corn in field or ever it be ripe. For I have seen all winter long the thorn first show itself intractable and fierce, and after bear the rose upon its top. And I have seen a ship direct and swift run over the sea throughout its course entire, to perish at the harbour's mouth at last. Let not Dame Bertha nor Sir Martin think, seeing one steal, another offering make, to see them in the arbitrament divine, for one may rise, and fall the other may. So just a reminder, this canto and the two that came before it all go together. It started out with Dante asking St. Thomas in his mind, and that just being read by St. Thomas, two questions. First was why Thomas referred to the Dominicans as an order in which one may fatten if they don't stray. And then the second was why he referred to Solomon, who is there in the sphere right now with them, as one whose wisdom would never ever be equaled. In answering the first, St. Thomas gave a song about St. Francis, which prompted St. Bonaventure, standing nearby, to give a similar song about St. Dominic. And now Thomas has finally gotten around to answering the second question. Now, Dante's issue with this, St. Thomas points out, is namely just that how was Christ, for example, not more wise? And St. Thomas basically says, to summarize it very quickly, well, I was really only talking about kings. He was the wisest of the kings. And if you read the Bible or look through history, yeah, there were a lot of bad kings. Solomon himself was not a great king by the end of his reign, but he was the wisest. Now, for any of you who know St. Thomas Aquinas, who wrote the Summa Theologica, which is a great, giant, 7-volume, probably more than that, treatise of defenses of every single little point of the Christian faith at the time that he was writing, discourses, logical discourses, and argumentation like this are definitely more his cup of tea. Now, one thing that I would be curious about reading this is, okay, does Dante write St. Thomas to sound like St. Thomas? And the answer is no. No, on paper, St. Thomas reads as if it's Beatrice or Virgil giving Dante an explanation of something. So, a little bit disappointed. But St. Thomas is one of the few souls that goes on in this way with Dante. Yeah, some souls that Dante's met in the past have explained some small parts, but a long discourse like this that's not about the current political situation in Florence, for example, and that includes the follow-up questions and the anticipation of Dante's doubts. So far, that's basically just been Beatrice, Virgil, and now Thomas. So I wonder if Dante the poet isn't trying to honor St. Thomas Aquinas here for his work in systematic theology and all the other kinds of theology too, by giving him that role of the reasoned discourser, the reasoned explanation giver. That's all for today, though. I'll see you tomorrow.